So just for the record, we do have one item already signed up for June, so we will be meeting then. And I understand it's summer, and so people's schedules might get crazy. And so if it's that most people are traveling and we want to meet virtually, we can agree on that. We just need to schedule items. But since today's item, the DAP has seen it multiple times, we just thought that virtual would be the easiest way of going about this one. Um, so if you are traveling this summer,
Hey,
just give me a
Grace.
heads up. Yeah.
Grace, I was just going to say, just because I know on that applicant for next month, they're probably going to want to be in person if you're
Yeah.
able to
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Hey, Grace, has the dates been established yet for that
Yeah.
meeting?
That will be June 26th.
Okay, thank you.
And it's definitely one item, so that would begin at 9:30. And if we have any additional items, it'll be another hour after that, but we only have one so far.
Okay. Unfortunately, I do need to participate online because I'm going to be out of town.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know. So we do have the one item this morning. This is lot 44, 4702 West Virginia Avenue. This was before the DAP just back in March, and so everybody's mind should be fresh on this one. And this is a sketch plan amendment and site plan amendment. So we're taking these two items together, and this is essentially the site plan review for the design advisory panel. So where final design excellence points are taken. At the March meeting, I think that the submission was pretty well received by the panel, but there were a couple refinements that we asked the applicant to make in terms of architectural materials on the elevations, some stylistic refinements on the elevations, and then bringing the final details of landscaping. The applicant did provide those updates in the submission as we acknowledged in our memo. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the applicant to just run through those very quickly, and then we can turn it over for discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me well?
A little low, but we can hear you.
I'm trying a new setup in a conference room so that you don't have to hear the sounds of our office going on in the background. Glad to be back. We are excited about this project. We've made a few design refinements, and I think the other purpose of this meeting was to talk about some refinements to the site as well, just to refamiliarize yourselves with the site if you're pulled on it. We're talking about lot 44 today, which is the small parking lot south of West Virginia Avenue. Develops a greenway and the Chase Avenue Urban Park, and studiously avoids this pulled out homeowner who is here. We've talked about lot 25. We're going to be at a sketch plan hearing with the planning board in 8 days from today on that project as well. I wanted to turn it over to Trini and Steve, who I think will talk more about the site design, because I know we wanted to revisit that and talk about any refinements that have been made.
Yes, so Jeremy, I think everyone's, we've been over this many times, so we can probably skip some of this contextual stuff. Again, we're looking at this 43-foot wide portion of the North Greenway with Chase Avenue Park to the plan south, future development site plan north, and as Jeremy mentioned, that adjacent holdout homeowner at the corner. So as you may recall, we have a 10-foot wide kind of pedestrian promenade that goes through the site, and we are looking to in the future connect that to the greenways on the parcels north and to Chase Avenue Park and through the park to the corner at Tilbury and Chase Ave. as a reminder, we have kind of these townhouse entries off of that side of the building that will help to enliven and activate this trail a little bit. And we are providing kind of a buffer and fence to the adjacent property at West Virginia, the 4700 West Virginia property. There is a bioretention area at the northeast corner of the park that serves the park itself. That will take on the water from the impervious surface in the park. And we're providing a couple little seating areas for people to sit and enjoy that public space. The streetscape along West Virginia will comply with the streetscape guidelines for Bethesda in front of the parcel. We do have that garage entrance and a loading area on the streetscape. We're providing continuous soil panel because we don't have on-street parking here, we get a pretty generous soil panel for the street trees along here, which we think is great and will help them. These are Bosque elms per the guidelines, so they will get to be pretty decent sized trees, given that they have that expanded soil area to grow in. We are also providing some mitigation trees, 3 mitigation trees for a tree that will be lost on the site. Those are the 3 larger trees in the park. And we've been working with, we've submitted the site plan and gotten some comments about that. And so the exact location of those may shift a little bit, but that's the general idea. We did include, if you flip to the next slide, Jeremy, we did include a more detailed planting plan. I know it sounds like John wasn't able to attend, but maybe he can also take a look at this. But we're trying to keep the plantings fairly simple and low maintenance for the future for the parks, while providing, that bioretention area kind of gets a little bit more intensive planting. And then we've got some bioretention along the frontage of the townhouse units that serve the building. So those will have low walls in front of them. There is a little bit of grade change in the park that will necessitate some steps up to those units. So that kind of integrates the bioretention. It will integrate with the stoops to those units very nicely, I think, and we'll plant those to provide some greenery, and it also serves the purpose of kind of keeping the general public a little bit back from the windows of those units. And then along the building on the West Virginia frontage, we are, we've got the lobby entrance to the left side there, right there. And where we can get planting against the building, we have maximized that to the extent possible. So I think in terms of entrances, you've got the lobby there, then you've got the garage entrance to the right of that, and then the fire control room to the right of that, and a secondary kind of ingress egress for the ground floor units, primarily of the townhomes along that side. So I think the streetscape along West Virginia will feel pretty lush and will be a big improvement from where it stands now. We are also continuing the sidewalk, as you may recall, down in front of the 4700 West Virginia Avenue site to make the connection down. Fortunately, there's no sidewalk on Tilbury on the west side of Tilbury. So whoever goes down there will have to cross, but we did want to allow for that, make sure that that connection is viable. So with that, I think I guess the only other thing I would mention is that we are meeting the green cover requirement primarily through green roof on the building.
Hey, Steve, can I ask a quick question about the bioretention area near the house?
Sure.
Is that a seat wall that surrounds that area? It looks like
Yeah, there's a little wall that because we're so space constrained here, we need a wall for two reasons. One is because we don't have enough space to slope down and then back up to create the bioretention that we need. I think you're talking about the one to the right, Jeremy.
Yeah, the one to the right, adjacent, closer to the house, not the project. Yeah, that
So
one. I'm just
the
curious, will that be, it can be, people could sit on that, if you will.
Our intent was not to make it quite that high, just so it's doesn't become kind of this feature. I think the thought was it would kind of, because the trail goes down as you get towards West Virginia, it would kind of emerge at a grade. It might start at 6 inches and rise up to 12 or so on
Okay.
the upper side.
Got it.
And it will kind of provide a little bit of a barrier from people going in there. We also, because we're somewhat close to the building, to the adjacent neighbor's house, we need that wall to keep the water actually from going into the subgrade, and so that will be it will be self-contained bioretention.
Right. Okay.
I got actually two landscape questions. Question number one, on your illustrative site plan, you have dotted lines going across West Virginia. Is that going to be a formalized pedestrian crossing?
So I think we actually had a discussion with staff about this yesterday. I think the intent is that ultimately we'd love to see that connection be able to happen. But given that the parcel across the street is, coming in somewhere behind us, we don't know what might happen over there.
Understood.
We did discuss actually leaving that for a future. Number one, leaving it for future study, because it's also kind of an odd place for a mid-block crossing. It's somewhat close to that intersection, but I think it needs some additional study. But the idea for now will be to kind of truncate the trail and not have it go all the way to the curb, so that it's not encouraged to cross there, shall we say.
And then is that immediately to the right of that, is that a apron for a driveway for the existing house? Right. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. And then
There's an existing driveway there now for this resident.
Gotcha. And then the second question is who maintains this park? Or who owns the park and who maintains it?
It's going to be dedicated to Montgomery County. And
Gotcha.
then I think there's if Henry Coppola is on, he could explain it better than I, but there's an old memorandum of understanding between the county and Parks, where Parks manages like a third of the parks in the county. So they'll manage it. Parks will manage it. And there'll be some maintenance by the future homeowners association on some limited aspects of the park, but mostly it'll be Parks Department.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well said, Matt. I had a quick question on landscape, Steve.
Sure.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is there any chance on West Virginia to add another tree next to the lay-by, to the left, to the west of the lay-by cut between the drive, right there? Yeah. Did you guys ever look at that?
Yes, well, there are a combination of factors at play. One is there's really not enough space there to do that and achieve, I think, some of the sight distances. And as you can see, there's a light pole there. So to get the correct spacing for the lights, we kind of needed that space for those reasons.
Okay, too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It would be nice, wouldn't it, to kind of close that gap a little bit.
Anything else, or should we move to the architecture? I'll take that as a no. So we wanted to respond to a few comments from last time. Well, we made some refinements to the building and the layouts that helped make this happen. There was, first off, very obviously, there was a comment about the asymmetry of the two towers elements, one having a belvedere on the roof and one not. We have added a second one in that response. I think that helps us because one refinement we did was raise the balconies here by 1 story, which is different from the previous submission, just because it helped add outdoor space to some of the upper floor units. And we think the increased tower profile helps the proportions of that adjustment. We also made some revisions to the West Virginia Avenue facade, bringing a recessed balcony look more to that side. I don't think it's apparent here. I'll show you on the facades. That made this facade a little bit cleaner and a little bit more simplified. There was some concerns about the refinement of that facade in the last meeting. I think this makes the facade simpler and the massing more coherent on the West Virginia side. We talked about getting, there was a comment about the cornice line of the townhomes and the base of the building. I think we continue to feel that those are two differently scaled items and they should be separate design elements, but I think how this facade merges with the townhome has a good layering to it, and we avoided some of the kind of hyphen or apron there that didn't really make sense in the massing. So just wanted to walk through some of the renderings again, just to show the revised proportions, the updated views. We continue to show white masonry here with a stone water table or base, some stone surrounds in the base of the building, but otherwise a dark metal and dark metal panel spandrels and dark metal windows and balcony elements across the upper parts of the facade, and with occasionally some select dark masonry elements on different sides of the facade. For example, especially on the West Virginia side, where we have some smaller windows and some infill panels to shield the parking garage from the alley to the west. I'm not sure what more detail you'd like to hear about on the material selection, but I think the choices we've made here to refine this a little bit have been helpful to simplifying the massing, and especially I think making West Virginia Avenue a little more coherent.
So on the material side, typically we see some kind of representation as to what the materials really is. You know, white masonry is kind of a very generic term. Can you be more specific? I mean, typically we either see material samples or photographs of material samples. Oh, there you go.
Well, I brought a board. We're looking at different white bricks. Obvious white, modular sized brick. Nothing too exotic per se, but selecting that color, depends on budget or subtle coloration and availability choices. But it's essentially it's a white masonry brick. We've talked about some. I was going to bring these to the meeting, but then we realized that we were virtual only today. We have some, just granites or other stone at the base, and we'll use a black or dark gray or charcoal brick for some of those minor accents on the top upper facade portions as well.
So that masonry sample you put up is, I think, mounted on a dark black board, right? It's not dark
Yes.
black mortar, is it?
Oh, no.
Okay,
No, I
great.
think it would be a white or light mortar as well to match that. We would not. I think a monolithic look with a mortar that matched the brick color as much as possible would be the appropriate solution here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So I don't know if you want me to run through the presentation materials a little more slowly, but that was really the extent of our changes. If we need to add a exhibit or something for the materials, let me know.
Jeremy, could you go to the floor that has the amenity space on it? It looks like there were some changes made there. Yeah.
So we've just done some refinements to the units inside, and did some refinements to the building and the modules. So we were able to open up a little more outdoor space that would have sight lines over the green roof and out to the greenway and to the east.
Where
And
your
reduce
arrow
the amount
started,
of-
that's now open to the air.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really a nice amenity. I think you guys have really treated that well in terms of the resident and their experience. It's cool.
Yeah, and we'll be able to borrow light to more of the interior spaces because of this choice.
I mean, again, it's such a big amenity space, square foot wise. I think introducing some of that outdoor use is great. So in that beigey color, that's open to the air, right? It's not an enclosed space. The purple or blue is enclosed. Okay.
Well, it's a balcony with a
covered.
roof over it.
It's covered.
It's covered.
Yeah.
But it's
It's covered, right? Because okay.
And Jeremy, I presume they can't go out onto the roof of the townhomes, right?
they won't go past this line.
Hmm.
Partly just a privacy concern for those who
Yeah.
own
No, I
these
get it.
terraces.
Yeah.
And we talked about the construction type as well, right now being planned for wood. I know you talked about concrete, but we're still.
Well, I'm just wagering, that's all.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you, but we're.
Excel charts versus reality.
No, I appreciate the improvements. symmetry in the facade. I mean, I think we were okay with the asymmetrical tower, but something felt a little bit off. I like the improvements. It feels balanced. And addition of balconies, that's always appreciated, outdoor space. In more inside balconies that Jeremy, you talked about. I think that's a great improvement as well. Our biggest concern was materials, right? Materials and knowing what they are, and you cleared that up. So thank you.
No, the roofscape is important because it's creating premium rooftop space for both the building as a whole and for the individual owners of the top floor units is really important in creating this kind of premier lifestyle that this kind of condominium product is going to deliver.
I agree with Yulia. I think the improvements are welcome. I think the material choice is solid and refined. I think the Belvedere strategy reflects the urban location and the location along the Greenway. Presumably over time, something could develop to the west. So to have the Belvederes on the west side seems a little bit risky. And I think they appropriately on the east side over the park, they reflect the location within the neighborhood. And I quite like it.
And then let me just add, I think you've come a long way since the initial presentation. I think there was an initial presentation was a couple of years ago, if I recall correctly. And then the more recent presentation from what you've got, from where you were to where you are now, I think it's been a big improvement.
Thank you.
Yeah, the design looks beautiful. So.
Yeah, from a developer perspective, given my role on the DAP here, I think you guys have done a really good job to take advantage of the usable square feet, both inside and outside. And then I think the architecture, as others have already stated, has come a long ways in a very positive fashion. So I think it's really, really solid application.
This is great feedback from the panel. So I think it's appropriate to go ahead and say the applicant is requesting 20 design excellence points. Can I get a thumbs up or nod that the panel is on board with the 20? I see 4 thumbs. I can count. Okay. Great job.
Yeah, good job, Jeremy and team.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great. A half hour. You guys can have the rest of your Wednesday back. It's a beautiful day.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
See
so
you
much.
guys in June. Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
one.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.